On today's episode of Hear These Words, we see the 10 lepers in the Gospel of Luke, and only one is grateful after all 10 of them are healed. Then we turn to Naaman in 2 Kings, who really wants a big grand miracle, but all he has to do is the simple thing to be cured of his disease. And finally, we turn to 2 Timothy, where we participate with Jesus in the work and acts of faith. Join us for this week's episode of Hear These Words. Hello and welcome to Hear These Words, a podcast and video series from Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in beautiful Tequesta, Florida. I'm Sanford Groff. I'm the rector here.
And I'm Alex Sarah Wolfington, the seminarian in residence.
Second-year seminarian.
Second-year seminarian in
Yes.
residence.
On the podcast every week, we look ahead at the Sunday lectionary from the Revised Common Lectionary and prepare by looking at the different readings that have been assigned for the week. And this week, the words we hear are 2 Kings chapter 5, 1 through 3, and verses 17 through 15c, Psalm 111, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 8 through 15, and the Gospel of Luke chapter 17, 11 through 19. But before we get to that, welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, second-year seminarian. You were up in Maine
I
over the
was.
summer, and
Yes.
this is not your first time on this show.
No,
No.
second.
This is your second time, so
Yes,
welcome. And
thank you.
you're going to be a regular.
Yes, every other week.
Every other
so
week.
I'm told.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So tell me about seminary. Tell me about how year two is a little different than year one, since you've been in this for now probably a month or a month and a half.
Yeah, I think that there is an expectation that we know what we're doing, which is always questionable for
Right.
seminarians. I think we're all as nervous as we were on day one.
Right.
But the classes are great. I'm doing early Christianity, which is
Good.
fascinating.
Okay. So it's a church history class.
Yeah, it's Christianity in general.
Okay.
So it's not just Episcopal history. It's truly from 200 or 30 to 500.
Great.
So it's really early Christianity. And it aligns well with my theology class, which
Yes.
is great, and I love so much.
Your first theology class.
First
in seminary?
theology class,
Great. Yep.
yes. New Testament we're studying this year.
Good.
It's really interesting stuff, and of
Good.
course, this being here is a class for me too.
Yes,
so
it is. Yes.
I'm grateful for you continuing to take me on.
We're very grateful
my
to have you.
formation.
And this year, and we've kind of talked about your learning goals, and we've worked with the seminary to make sure they're in alignment with your with the objectives. And we're just excited to have you because now you're familiar with Good Shepherd.
Yes.
And you can do things like this.
Yes.
Just jump on the podcast and
Great.
put some of that biblical studies knowledge to the test.
Yeah,
It'll be great.
Absolutely.
So, well, we're gonna kind of go through the gospel, and then we'll go through the Old Testament and the New Testament, and I think it should be a lot of fun.
That's great.
So I'm looking forward to your
Me too.
perspective.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm looking forward to my own as well, but especially yours.
Well, the gospel is Luke. We've been making our way through Luke. We're in chapter 17, and we get to this story of sometimes called the 10 lepers, right? And these are people who are infirm. They've got diseases, things like that. And they call out to Jesus and they say, have mercy on us, right? And when he sees them, he says, go and show yourselves to the priest. Now, the reason they do that is because the priests at the time were the ones who could declare someone clean. Because at this point they were unclean. You should not, be near them. You should cross the other side of the road, all that kind of stuff. And so Jesus says, well, go and declare yourselves, to the priests, and they will declare you clean. And it says they went and they were declared clean. But then one of them, when he saw that he had been healed, turned back, praising God in a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. And of course we know that the Samaritans were the kind of Jewish group from the other side of the tracks, like the wrong side of town. And they've got this long history with the kind of mainline Jewish people of being looked down upon, from the mainline. So Jesus said, we're not 10 made clean, but the other 9, where are they? were none found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner, and get up, go on your way, your faith has made you well. So kind of an interesting take. What sticks out for you?
This makes me think so much of the story of the bleeding woman, that when she touches Jesus's robes, which she's not supposed to, and the hemorrhaging woman,
unclean.
She's unclean because she's hemorrhaging, and she's been suffering from this affliction for 12 years. And he stops, and obviously a lot of people had been touching him. He's in a crowd, but he feels her touch on his robes, and he says, "Who's touched me?" And he feels that energy, and he says to her too, "Your faith has healed you." And that is such a profound message for all of us. I think that our faith truly is what is our healing superpower in our relationship with Christ. It's a gift. And whenever we are feeling lost or sick or our faith is what carries us through. And so there's a consistent message from this story to that story. And you see it a lot in these stories of healing from Jesus all throughout the New Testament.
Oh, and the other, and what's interesting about that relationship between faith and healing, or putting it more broadly, faith and miracles, is that Jesus was in, I believe, his hometown, and they were not really having him in this new identity, this Son of God, Son of Man kind of identity. And it says that he could do no miracle there, right? He could, that in this community where there was not that faith, there was not that trust, there was not that understanding and belief, that he was kind of, powerless, so to speak. And so it goes to show how that's how our own participation in healing, in miracles, is so important. We often think of miracles as magic. We think of them as like the genie in the bottle. You just rub the bottle, and there's the genie, and he'll grant you your 3 wishes, and bada bing, bada boom. But this shows us, and I think the woman who touches the hem of Jesus's robe also shows us how that participation is the best way I know how to say it, but that you were working together with God. We're not simply recipients in kind of a passive way.
Absolutely. And also we're engaged in our own healing, which too, other denominations can take this, just have faith and God will heal you, Christ will heal you, and kind of ignore the science part of it when there is a medical concern. But the participation piece, I think we acknowledge that science and treatment is an important part of that participation. And so we need to rely on all those miracles that lead up to our opportunity for our miracle as well, which is scientific discovery, and our ability to seek those treatments and things like that is important too.
Medical expertise.
That's right.
Well, and I think for me, it's this part at the end where 10 go out, only 1 basically comes back to say thank you. And for me, that gratitude and that, which is also, I think, an act of faith, because not only is it, performative or write your thank you notes, it's like this thing on the to-do list that you don't want to do and you have to do and you do it. This is really a genuine, from the heart, kind of overflowing of this healed leper coming back and throwing himself at Jesus' feet and just going, this is amazing, right? And Jesus's comment, we're not 10 made clean, like where are the other 9? But that, and I think that's part of our own struggles. I mean, we live in such an incredible moment in time in so many ways, with talking about medicine and so much food and resources and shelter and social and everything else. And I just don't think that we spend enough time saying thank you to God and to each other, and just kind of gushing over how great, we tend to focus on the little thing that kind of irritates us. Like the princess and the pea or something.
Or the big world problems that we can as individuals solve. But there is something to be said for sitting in adoration and just being so grateful for our lives and what it is that is going well.
Right. Instead of all the things
Instead of the complaint department.
The complaint department.
The
always open for business.
Always. You too can yell at God. Yes.
Good. All right. Well,
Good.
that sounds pretty good for that.
Yeah.
We're happy?
Very.
Okay, great.
It's interesting.
Yep. Okay. Next one is 2 Kings 5, 1 through 3 and 7 through 15. Naaman, the commander of the army of the king of Aram, a great man, high in favor. He suffered from leprosy. So now we can see a little bit why these lectionary compilers kind of put everything together. And suffered from leprosy, and on one of their raids had taken a young girl captive from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." And and there's this there's this kind of back and forth that happens a little bit, and then Elisha shows up. Right, Elijah, the man of God, heard that the king had torn his clothes. He sent a message, "Why have you torn your clothes?" So Naaman came with his horses, etc., etc. Go and Elijah says, "Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman became angry and went away, saying, "I thought that for me he would surely come out and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and would wave his hand over the spot and cure the leprosy." And he goes on and on and on about the waters and where to wash, and couldn't I wash in these other waters, and all this kind of business. He turned and went away in a rage, but his servants approached and said to him, "Father, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, would you not have done it? How much more when all he said to you was, wash and be clean." So he went down and immersed himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the word of the son of the man of God, and his flesh was restored. And then he returned to Elijah and his company. And now he said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the earth except Israel."
Mm-hmm. It's a long one.
It is a long one.
And it's a winding one.
It is a little bit
interesting.
winding. Yeah, right. For me, again, there's this like, there's a little bit of genie in a bottle like mojo going on.
Yeah.
He wants. An Aladdin, like Robin Williams,
Sure.
Is the voice of the genie. He wants like Robin Williams to come out and make this big show and like rub the spot and like do the magic and make it happen. And Elisha's just like, just go wash in the Jordan, like it'd be fine. Like
right. Just do what he says.
Right.
Like, is it that big a deal?
It's right.
And it's interesting to me that the servants approached and said it to him. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of humility.
A lot of humility.
It's a little bit of just, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, what would you have done? Mm-hmm. And we're asked often to do difficult things.
Right.
And difficult things are put in our way. Mm-hmm. And somehow we're able to do the difficult things, but the simple things we struggle with. Yeah. Right? Like, I struggle with, praying 4 times a day. Mm-hmm. It's like, why is that so hard? I can do all the hard things. Right. I can go to seminary. Okay? Because God's calling me to do that.
For 3 years.
And work full time.
Heaven forbid I say a prayer at night.
Full time. Right. God,
right.
why are the simple things so hard? But the simple things are such gifts and center us.
Right.
So it's interesting. It's it's the human need to rebel.
Well, you mentioned it at the beginning of what you were saying, and I love that this good news comes from this servant girl from Israel, right? Through through kind of his wife and that dynamic, and then through the servants. Mm-hmm. So it's constantly this. You're looking for things in the wrong places because you're like setting your sights way up, and I think this is true, in my life when I, when I am trying to find either an answer or I'm preparing for something that I think is going to be a big deal, like going to the doctor or something like that, and it ends up being just a non-issue. Yeah. And you're right, the like compliance level on the simple things is probably far lower than the really big, like scary, hairy, complex things 100%. That can sometimes, get us turned around.
100%. And I do want to do one call out.
Yeah.
Naaman's wife is unnamed, as so many women in the Bible are. Mm-hmm. Their names have been lost throughout history. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that a lot in these texts where a woman will be referred to as so-and-so's wife or the female servant, and these women were part of the spreading of the good news. and
a central character.
In the story, and yet we only know of a handful of women's names.
Right.
Which is, why women's theology is so important, and women's studies.
Well,
and
so
lifting,
important. I think lifting up that, that again, the king, the king doesn't really help the situation in this, right? Like it's just that kind of unexpected. I mean, how can we tune our eyes and our ears? How can we be aware in the same way that I think, and again, if I were to give the lectionary compilers a little more credit, both of these stories are about awareness.
Yeah,
this one with Naaman is about listening to the prophet and following the prophet and being open to the prophet and aware of the prophet. The other one in the gospel is really about that awareness of the great gift and the great miracle that has been conferred, and healing that's been conferred. So
yeah, true. Good point. Thank you.
We don't look at the psalm too much in this. We don't have time. I'm so sorry. Psalm 111.
There's some beautiful lines.
There are. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. We will do the psalm on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. 2 Timothy 2:8-15. Remember Jesus Christ raised from the dead. That is my gospel, for which I suffer hardship, even to the point of being chained like a criminal, right? So Paul's writing this either from or right after prison. Therefore, I endure everything for the sake of the elect, so that they may also obtain salvation. The saying is sure, if we have died with him, Christ, we will live with him. If we endure, we will reign. If we deny him, he will deny us. If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. Remind them of this and warn them before God that they are to avoid wrangling over words. Do your best to present yourselves to God as one approved by him, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly explaining the word of truth. So, any thoughts?
I love the line that says, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved by him, a worker who has no need to be ashamed. In the morning daily devotions, which I actually am getting pretty good at doing every morning, the line, open my lips, O Lord, and my mouth will...
The first words of the
very
service,
first words. It's really preparing you for the day. Like, I am a worker for God, and I am someone that needs to fulfill what it is that God lays before me. So I try hard to always be ready to fulfill those requests of me in my daily life. And I think that when we think of ourselves in that way, our ego goes away. And it's not self-fulfilling, it's fulfilling God's need for us and preparing us for the day. And this is just a really beautiful parallel to that, is what it made me think of. Yeah.
I like this, the saying is sure, if we die with him, we also live with him. If we endure, we reign with him. It goes back to what you said about the healing in the gospel. It is that participation with Jesus, that participation in the Christ movement, right? In our life. If we are faithless, Jesus remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. It's always that we are drawn deeper and deeper into the life of God through participation with Christ as that God human, right? So there's nothing that I think oftentimes the Christianity gets into this transactional mode where it's like, well, I'll do this for you if you do that for me.
Yeah.
It's like, no. There's not this one for one, tit for tat kind of thing going on. It's always doing it with Christ. And that Christ, in fact, comes to join us. Like, if we endure, we will also reign with him, right? That he has endured himself for the sake of our being part of that. And so if we die with him, we will also live with him. It's in the baptismal liturgy. So part of the prayer that we say during the baptism and the prayers over the water is that, if we go down, to the depths with Christ, so too will we be resurrected, right, with him into eternal life. So I love that kind of, and because I don't think that just is about the end of our life, when our heart stops beating. I think that is a motif that is constantly iterated. We're constantly going through dying to self and rising with Christ, dying to our own kind of ambitions and rising to God's dreams, right? And that's not easy. I don't think it's easy.
It's not easy.
But I think it is what our baptismal kind of covenant and our baptismal life looks like often.
It's part of our becoming. We're always becoming.
Always becoming.
We're always becoming. Yeah. No.
Any other thoughts you want to share?
One more, just I have to give a
one
shout
more
out.
thought.
Remember Jesus Christ, the first line,
Mm-hmm.
a descendant of David. I recently learned that Jesus is a descendant of David through Joseph. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to step parents.
Mm-hmm.
I found that fascinating.
Right.
I didn't know that historically, but that is.
I don't think I was aware of that
I know.
either.
I know. So there you go. Just a little seminarian fact.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
We'll see you, and we won't see you this Sunday because you're out of town.
That's right.
But we'll see you next Sunday, and looking forward to.
Heretofore.
That's right. Well, we thank you for joining us on this episode, and we hope that these reflections and meditations have been helpful and edifying to you. And we invite you to join us either online or in person, Sundays 8 and 10 for church. And now we hope that you feel a little more prepared to hear these words. We'll see you soon.